So the Leaf is a big deal, not just for Nissan, but for the industry, because if you think about it, you go back to the first generation car, it really was the first or amongst the first mass-produced electric vehicles. It was successful. This is the third generation. Not a lot of electric cars can claim to have a third generation already. That's what makes it kind of special. One of the first things that strike you these days when you get into these new cars, and I think you see a little more attention to that detail on the electric vehicles because, you know, they have to be like flagships in a way for the brand, regardless of the brand. There's just such a huge step up in terms of quality of materials, the graphics you see, the kind of technology, and also the interfacing with that technology. These are things you used to get in the luxury cars. Now you get them in these mass brand cars as well. And that is pretty special. That, ladies and gents, was my very first impression of the new Nissan Leaf. A new electric vehicle that, in my view, is just right for India. It is all electric, all new, and the third generation Nissan Leaf just gets better in every way. I am in Denmark to show you this new flagship. Now, there's a huge departure in terms of what that first car was and this one. Not just in terms of tech, but also in terms of its attribute. It looks like it's grown bigger, but here's the thing. It's actually shorter than the second generation car. Don't think that when you look at it, do you? It's also completely changed its body style. It's gone crossover like. So when you see this roof line coming down here, it doesn't look like a hatch anymore because it isn't. Of course, this is still a hatch that opens at the back. So it's a 5-door, technically speaking. This is the signature color, the teal, and honestly, it gives the car a really nice, youthful, fun look. The two-tone is optional at the higher end. Variants is where you get the two-tone. These are details that will only matter if the car comes to the market. Really nice styling on the wheels. They are aero wheels again, designed to maximize aerodynamics. In fact, the most aerodynamic car ever from Nissan, even more than the GTR. That's interesting. The new Nissan logo is not new anymore, I suppose. The Leaf badge here. And then this is again a signature for the car. You're seeing this sort of styling from Nissan. It's the new styling specific to EVs is something that they say, but on the Leaf in particular, and you can see it's appreciated by everyone. You got this really nice pattern here, which is a sort of signature to the car. Now, keep this pattern in mind because you see it on the wheels. You also see it showing up in different sections. It's also on the tail lights. In fact, this is exactly like the tail lights 2 and 3. In Japanese, Ni, 2, 3, San. And so it kind of spells Nissan. That's a nice little quirk. It's a little nod to Nissan's heritage and its Japanese origin. And of course, the Leaf, like I said, is emblematic of what the brand is trying to do. When you think about new kind of styling, new kind of technology, and this platform which it shares with other cars like the Aria, but is almost flagship-like because, as I said, the Leaf has a bit of a reputation. It is just the right size for India. It's a tad bigger than a Creta for perspective, but with a range of around 500 kilometers on a full charge. And way more advanced tech. So as I was saying outside, the car has gotten smaller in terms of comparing with the previous generation. The cabin's actually a little roomier. There has been a huge effort made in terms of making not just leg room, but even things like shoulder room, width, and the sense of space a lot better. I have to say, that is something that comes across right away. Nice materials, different colors. I mean, of course, these are trims that could vary by market, so I'm not going to get into the details, but it is different, and it kind of stands out and looks different, while it still has all the things that people expect today. Big screens, for example, 14.3 inches each. It's a dual screen setup. There's many different variations of what can happen on this. The instrument cluster screen, and then, of course, on this one too, infotainment, different kind of games, and there's a whole lot that you can get. That some stuff, of course, you do when the car is stationary, like playing games or watching some content, say on Prime Video. Those are things that you can do also when you have kids in the car. So it's nice when you're charging, for example, you can spend some time inside the car and use some of these apps. More apps keep getting added to this, and there's of course the electric vehicle management system as well, which allows you to know the different charging times, the limits, any kind of schedule you want to set. You want to be able to quickly charge maybe the first 20%, different charging options. Of course, this is becoming more about battery management, and you're seeing this across lots of EVs. In this case too, you see that you got paddle shifters which let you change the regeneration like most electric cars, but you also have something called e-pedal, which is like this intelligent system where once you drive an e-pedal, the car keeps calibrating and giving you the optimal regen versus performance. So that's nice to have. Wireless charger neatly tucked in over here. Very nice comfortable seats. Also the steering angle, the adjustment, the ergonomics, very smartly done. And these finishes that you see, they could be fabric on the lower trims, which frankly I would prefer. And some of that is recycled. And then you've also got this, the vegan leather or the artificial leather as an option as well. But there is one more interesting feature in this car, which is pretty cool. And there it is. So panoramic roof, are you kidding me? That's what you're saying, right? Every second car has a pano roof. Well, this is a panoramic roof, but it has a very interesting feature built in. Take a look at that. You see how some of it in grades kept going opaque. Now you have roofs that dim or become brighter. In this case, you can do it in sections, which is really cool. It's like bringing the screen only halfway. And then you've also got this little leaf badge thrown in there so that when the sun does come through, you get a shadow on the seats which says Leaf. That's a nice little detail. But take a look at this. Again, in grades, it just completely closes up. Now, again, you might think that's not enough because usually you have to have that screen in harsh climates like ours. Today, it's a cold day here outside Copenhagen. But yes, on a hot day in India, that's not going to be enough, right? Well, that's the part which is interesting. This isn't just a screen that has this dimming function. It's also a screen with thermal management. So it doesn't let the heat come through even when you have it on transparent mode. And I didn't believe them till they had a little setup where we could actually try it out for ourselves. And I have to say, that is really clever. It's a good use of tech, it's a practical use, and it's something that people are going to appreciate in different climates.
Whew, that is a lot, isn't it? Yes, Nissan has really packed in loads here. Now, let's drive.
3, 2, 1.
Now, the car is available with 2 battery packs, however, and with the WLTP cycle, they have very impressive range. The larger battery is the car that I'm driving right now, 75 kilowatt hour battery and a 622 kilometer range. Very impressive. Of course, real world, even if it goes down to 500 or so, you're still talking about a really nice amount of drivability without having to charge. The smaller battery is 52 kilowatt hour and that has a claimed range of 440 kilometers. Again, you're talking real world 340, 350 even. I mean, that's still pretty good, especially given most people's usage. What's nice about the setup of the motor is that while of course both of them use different motors with different outputs, the acceleration is pretty good and you get a really nice sense of driving this slightly sporty sort of a car. There are different drive modes. They're not a whole lot different in terms of operation, but yes, on the sport mode, you get the instant response. And of course, the larger battery and larger motor setup is faster when you talk 0 to 100. Now, it's to be expected that it goes with the territory of an electric car that you'll have all the electric car functionality. So 4 different grades of recuperation that you can use the paddles to set. You've got a whole lot of efficiency related features in terms of how the driving assistance systems will help you so that your range gets enhanced. It's nice that of course this car has all of that. It has it covered pretty well. It also has an additional feature that works with the ADAS. Now it's like adaptive cruise control. They call it Pro Pilot Assist. And what's interesting about it though is that while you can set the speed and the car will also monitor the speed limits, might reduce or increase speed based on that. Also the traffic around you, of course. But it'll also use navigation data. So data that the car already has, the stuff it's picking up from the sat navs right now, whether you have a route guidance switched on or not, whether you're using Apple CarPlay or not, it doesn't matter. So it picks up some of that data and it feeds it back to Pro Pilot Assist. Why? because that way, you may not know what's coming up necessarily, but the car does. And so if it's a roundabout, or if there's a very sharp turn, or like a specific traffic related problem, the car knows, it'll slow down or it'll adjust its speed to suit that condition. That's clever. And we've seen that with BMWs in the past, where the navigation and the gearboxes or the suspension settings would also sort of get tweaked, but only in really high-end cars like the 7 Series. This is the Nissan Leaf. What's also nice is that you have different sort of range calculations that have been done now. So on this, the bigger battery, for example, if you're driving at 130 kilometers per hour consistently on a high speed, of course on a highway, then it'll give you so much range. If you're driving at 120, it's going to give you so much. And those calculations are not just good to know as a buyer, it's also good because the car's onboard computer is constantly using that data to try and maximize your range. So it'll also keep changing or plotting the stop points or where the chargers are based on how you're driving, how much of the power you're sort of consuming and how quickly you're consuming it. That's where a lot of the tech also now plays a huge role. I still sort of hold out a little hope because it can be positioned as this technology or brand showcase. Certainly hope Nissan India thinks about it, even in limited volume.
Nissan should consider selling just 1,000 or 1,500 of these in 2026 in India, maybe only in the metros where charging infrastructure is already decent. Even if it takes a hit and prices it really competitively, it's worth it for the brand, which desperately needs help in India anyway.
Now, the car's system runs on Android Automotive. That is different from Android Auto, where you just connect your smartphone like Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. It's similar, but here we're talking about the OS. So you can say, hey Google, find me place to eat dinner.
There's Rib House 0.4 kilometers away. Want to navigate there?
Give me more options. There's a whole lot of different options that have come up on the screen. And then you can navigate. You can also use cars functions like, hey Google, can you turn up the temperature?
Got it. Turning up the temperature by 2 degrees.
Stuff like that. When you're using the car's nav and when you're using Google Maps, you could be listening to music or whatever else, and all those instructions which are related to the navigation just come out of the speaker that's here embedded into the headrest. That's a pretty cool move because that way everybody in the car, your co-passengers don't have to hear that, and just you get to hear it. Well, I mean, others can hear it too, but it's focused onto you. And yeah, those kind of little extra fine details or attention to those kind of details, I have to say, well thought of.
The Leaf is not cheap. It sells for around 34 to 37,000 euros, more or less. Can even go up to about 42,000 euros. But then it does pack in a fair bit. It is also a major finalist at the World Car Awards for overall 2026 World Car of the Year and the 2026 World Electric Vehicle categories.
So that's a first look at the new third generation Nissan Leaf. Tell me how you like the car, tell me if you'd like to see it coming to India, and if you like this review, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.